Good morning, it's great to have you here. If this is the first time watching the channel, then welcome. I'm Michelle, the Irritable Vegan, and I'm here to share my vegan low FODMAP story and hopefully take some of the BS out of IBS. And today I'm going to have a what I ate in a day video for you. It's going to be a little bit different because obviously now I'm in the personalised phase, so some of the things in here won't be suitable for everybody, but it's a really nice way to get you motivated, to do your challenges, to get on with finding your tolerances and your thresholds so that you can get back to eating in the most normal, regular way possible for yourself. But before that, we walk. Come with us. So that was really nice. We've not been across the backfield since all the rape blossomed, and I absolutely love this time of year. That sea of yellow, beautiful flowers. You can't fail to feel cheered up and feel a little bit sunny, despite the fact that it's like 1 degree at the minute. So I've managed to do 6,924 steps before breakfast, which I'm pretty pleased with. So speaking of breakfast, I'm going to sort the dog out, grab a shower, and then we'll see what I'm having. See you soon. So I've got the dog sorted, she's been fed, it's time for my breakfast and I need something fairly quick. I already feel like it's one of those days where the day just runs away with you. Do you know what I mean? You get up at the same time, you do all the usual things and then you look at the clock and somehow you've lost an hour. So that's what I'm feeling like at the minute. I just need a really quick breakfast and usually that's going to be porridge. So a couple of notes. As I mentioned, I am in the personalised phase, so some of this is not going to be suitable for everybody, but it just shows you what's possible and the way that my diet looks now. So I will be using some unsweetened almond milk, and I do use this, but the problem is when I use this, I do need to add quite a lot of flavour because I think I might have mentioned before, I'm not a massive breakfast eater anyway, so I do have to force myself to eat breakfast, and I'm not a porridge lover. So I eat porridge because it fills me up, because it warms me up, because I know it's good for me, because it's filling and it can easily be made low FODMAP, but I don't actually enjoy it like I see people. I see people like, and I'm just not like that at all. So I do tend to only eat a very small amount anyway. So when I'm using a plain milk like this, I will need to add a lot of flavour. So I'll be adding some cacao powder, some ground cinnamon, and some of this chocolate peanut butter powder. So the quickest way that I make it usually now in the personalised phase is that I will actually make it with this chocolate oat milk, and this is my absolute favourite. I can just drink this by the glassful anyway. But if I'm using that, I tend to just use that and the porridge. Sometimes I'll add fruit in, but usually if I'm using that, then that's pretty much, it's sweet enough, it's chocolatey enough, so I tend to just stick to this with my porridge. But as I'm going to go with the regular unsweetened milk today, which is what most of you would be able to use in your elimination phase, in your challenge phase, that's what I'm going to stick with, and I'm going to show you how I flavour it up. So I'm going to start with a quarter of a dried cup of oats. That's more than enough for me. You can have up to half a cup of oats, just under a cup of almond milk, and then into my cup here I add another splash of almond milk, and this is what I'm going to add all my powders and flavourings to. So a tablespoon of cacao powder, a sprinkle of cinnamon, 2 tablespoons of peanut butter, chocolate peanut butter powder, and give all that a little stir. And the reason I do it like this is because it's much easier to stir the powders into the liquid like this rather than it is just throwing them straight in with the porridge. And then all of this, then once it's all mixed into a paste, that's going to go in with the porridge. I'm also going to be using half a banana. As you can see, this is a ripe banana, so this is something else which has changed into my personalised phase. I can now enjoy ripe bananas. I've never ever liked unripe bananas, so I'll be using about half, which is about 65 grams. So if you're in any phase other than the personalised phase, this is considered a high FODMAP portion. You can always swap this for a portion of unripe banana, and then you can eat up to the whole banana, up to about 100 grams. And this is going to make it really sweet and creamy. I'm just going to sprinkle on about a tablespoon of chopped walnuts. So that was breakfast, and I really enjoyed it. It was quite a bit later than I would normally eat breakfast. So my lunch is going to be a little bit later, but then unfortunately I've actually got an out of hours doctor's appointment this evening, so my evening meal is going to have to be quite early. So you're probably not going to see a lot of snacking in between meals. Normally I'd only probably have maybe one snack in the day anyway, but I'm probably not going to do that today just because the meals are going to be closer together than I would normally have them. So I really love being able to sit outside to eat. Even on a day like today, it's about 5 degrees, it's really chilly, but the sun's shining, the skies are blue, the birds are singing, and I absolutely love it, particularly in the morning. If I can sit out there in the morning, enjoy my breakfast, read my book, it really relaxes me, sets me up for the day, and really makes me feel energised and motivated to get on. So I have got some work to get on with now. But before I get started on that, I just wanted to point out the reason there was no volume on that clip is because you can hear the dogs next door. But that's not really why. The reason there was no volume is because we live right beside the railway. So we have trains go past every 15 to 20 minutes. We're completely used to it. We don't even really hear it anymore. We've been here for quite a lot of years. It's amazing how you just kind of blank them out, and we can sit out there on a lovely day and not even really realise the trains are going past. But to anyone else it would sound really, really loud. And I've no idea what the schedule is, so I've no idea whether they're going to come past as I'm filming or not. And also, because we live right on the railway, at the minute they're doing lots and lots of... There's a train now. Did you hear it? And that's from inside the house, so outside it is much louder. Because we do live on the railway, we are at the mercy of Network Rail, and at the minute they're doing lots of repairs on a bridge just further up, and the noise is constant. There's a noise of lots of machinery and drilling and grinding of metal, and it is constant all through the day. So you might notice that coming up, some of my recipe videos probably won't have the ambient noise, which I usually like to keep in, just because I like hearing things as they happen, and also I do like that kind of ASMR type feel. So just in case you were wondering why there might be a change to the way that I'm filming the recipe videos. So that was just really to keep you updated, and just in case you wondered why you couldn't hear the birds singing and any of the ambient noise out there. It isn't just because I was chewing my porridge really loudly and didn't want you to hear. So I'm going to get on with some work now, and I'll see you again when I decide to make lunch. See you soon. So it's about 1:30. I'm not mad hungry, but I do need to get some kind of lunch on the go. I'm going to be using up lots of bits and bobs I've got left over. So I've got some potatoes, some boiled sliced potatoes. I've got some tofu, some pressed tofu. And some chestnut mushrooms. I'm probably going to throw all of that together with some kale and some spring onion greens, just make a little bit of a potato tofu hash. I've no idea what I'm doing, there's no recipe for it. I'm literally just going to throw it together, taste it as I go. I'm sure it's going to be fine. So today I am going to use the green part of the onions. I would normally at this stage be able to use all the onions, but I am having quite a fructan heavy meal for tea, and there will be onion in that, so I'm just going to play it safe and stick to the green portion. So I've got a FODMAP safe portion of tofu here. I think there's about 150 grams. I've got about 200 grams of potato, boiled potato in its skin there. Something that a lot of people are confused about, especially with the Monash app, is that I think Monash list the safe serving of potato as 75 grams, which you'll be lucky if you get one potato for that. That doesn't mean that you can only eat 75 grams of potato. It's just that that is based on an average portion. It's nowhere near my average portion, but whatever guidelines they use, the Australian food guidelines, 75 grams is roughly one portion. So I tend to eat anywhere between 200 to 250 grams of potatoes. They've got no upper limit, and as long as you're okay with nightshades, there's really no reason for you to only be eating one potato at a time. I do believe it says to eat freely according to appetite, and my appetite tends to be about the 250 gram mark, which looks like that. Now obviously mushrooms are high FODMAP, butter mushrooms high FODMAP in any portion size. Mushrooms were something that I did really miss when I was on my elimination phase. I do like mushrooms, I include them in a lot of meals. I did make full advantage of the fact that canned mushrooms are actually low FODMAP in quite a generous portion. I wouldn't normally eat canned mushrooms, but needs must. So I did switch to canned mushrooms during my elimination phase. I have now switched back over to fresh mushrooms. Obviously, if you wanted to keep this low FODMAP, then you would just use canned mushrooms, or a safe serve of, I believe it's oyster mushrooms, but I'm not 100% sure because I can never get oyster mushrooms anywhere around here. So that'll be kind of the base of the veg. I'm just going to throw it in the pan now. I'll bring you over. So I'm going to heat some garlic oil. I'm just going to throw all that in the pan and saute it down, probably for about 5 to 10 minutes. Some salt, pepper, curry powder, some tomato puree, and a squeeze of lemon juice. Now I want this fairly dry, but a little bit of liquid is going to come from the tail that I've just washed. So rather than adding loads and loads of extra liquid, the water that was just clinging to the leaves of the tail after I'd washed it is just going to loosen up the pan a little bit and keep it all still fairly dry, fairly toasted, but make sure that nothing's sticking to the base of the pan. And that's done. Really simple, nice and easy, really delicious. Job's a good one. How good does that look? Whew. So that was absolutely delicious. It was so easy, so simple, super quick, 5 minutes in the pan, no messing. Dead easy to turn into a low FODMAP meal just by replacing the mushrooms with a safe portion of canned mushrooms. Really, really delicious. And if you are in your personalised phase and you haven't yet introduced button mushrooms, chestnut mushrooms, that's a really good recipe to do it in. You wouldn't use the amount I've just used there. You'd probably start with maybe 1 or 2 mushrooms and just chop them in really finely, but that was a really nice meal to use them in, so bear that in mind for when you get into your personalised phase. So it's about 2 o'clock now, so I'm absolutely stuffed, so depending on what hubby says, I'm really not sure that we're going to eat tea early. I think we might actually push it back later rather than eat it earlier, but I'll just see how hungry he is when he gets home. So let me know if you like this kind of video. It's a bit quicker to film, it's a little bit easier than the standard videos that I make, but obviously there is going to be a little bit of a difference in quality. Some of the footage has been done on my phone, some of it's been done on my camera. I'm going to splice everything together and we'll see how we go. But if you do want to see more videos like this, if you do want to see more videos of the food that I'm eating now in the personalised phase, I know it's not going to apply to everybody that's watching, but I think it's good motivation to get you into your challenges, get you through and into your own personalised phase, and it's a good idea for what your potential diet might look like once you finish the first 2 phases of the diet, and give you some ideas for recipes and ways to start experimenting with your thresholds and your tolerances once you do hit your own personalised phase. So please let me know. I will always try to let you know that if there are low FODMAP alternatives for what I'm eating, so that if you're not yet in your personalised phase, you can maybe still make use of the recipes. The only thing that you might want to consider is the portion size, but as I've said, I won't be snacking through the day today, so the portions are a little bit bigger than you would normally potentially on the elimination phase. To be fair, they're my average portions. I've always struggled with limiting my portions, so that was a normal portion for me, but it might have seemed like a large portion for somebody else. I'm going to get back to work now. Just a little note on what I'm drinking. I haven't filmed every single time I've had a drink, but generally what I tend to do is I drink herbal teas through the day, and I tend to just kind of keep topping up 1 or 2 tea bags throughout the day. So by the time we get into the evening, they pretty much taste of nothing. It's just a way to get water into me. I'm not the kind of person that drinks cold water. I don't particularly enjoy drinking plain water, and as I've mentioned in numerous videos before, I do struggle getting my hydration in and making sure that I'm drinking enough throughout the day. So the best way for me to do that has been to go onto herbal tea. They just give it a little bit of flavour. I just feel like I'm having something a little bit extra. It's literally hot water with a tea bag in, but for some reason I can drink it much easier and much more frequently as a warm tea rather than drinking a cold liquid. My current obsession at the minute is Red Bush or Rooibos tea. It isn't in the Monash app, so I'm not sure whether it is actually low FODMAP. So that might be something you want to experiment a little bit with once you get further on through the diet. So I'm going to get back to work now, and then I'll speak to you soon when I'm getting tea on the go. So my evening meal is going to be high FODMAP, but I wanted to briefly show you a realistic look at what's possible once you reach the personalised phase. I'll be using this dried sausage mix, which you can see contains soya protein, wheat flour and wheat gluten. I'm mixing that with a kebab spice mix, which is marked as suitable for celiacs but is high FODMAP due to the dried garlic and onion. It's simply rehydrated with water, formed into mini kofta kebabs and fried in oil until golden. So I'm going to be using 4 tomatoes because this is actually going to be 4 portions. I've got 2 sliced red bell peppers, 1 small grated carrot. I would normally probably use a bit more than this, but it's all that I had. And 1 small sliced red onion, which will be shared out across 4 portions. I'll make a low FODMAP dressing of coconut yogurt, chopped cucumber and dried mint. Quickly fry all the veggies together. You can always substitute the onions for green leek tips or spring onion greens. Add a few tablespoons of curry powder and freshly chopped tomatoes. Simmer everything down for 10 minutes. Serve the sauce over a cup of rice, and to keep this low FODMAP, I would have cooked half a cup of canned lentils into the sauce to replace the kebabs. And just because I'm confident of my tolerances, I added a wholemeal pita bread. So that's everything I ate today. Vegan, low FODMAP, personalised phase of the diet. Just a couple of other things I wanted to show you were these Fushi multi-essential complex vitamins and minerals, and these ones are obviously vegan and they're also free from fillers, binders, bulking agents, gluten, wheat, lactose, preservatives, artificial colouring, yeast and sugar. And the recommended dose for those is 3 capsules a day. I actually only take 1 capsule, and 1 capsule actually provides the whole range of vitamins and minerals, but what's especially interesting is that it provides 100 micrograms, which is 4,000% RDA of vitamin B12, and I've had these for ages. That is supposed to be a 1 month supply at 3 capsules a day, but like I say, I only take 1 capsule a day, and on top of a varied plant-based diet, I think that's as much as I need. The other thing is that I do take an additional vegan vitamin D, and this was just ordered in for me by my local pharmacy, and it's free from yeast, gluten, wheat, soya, dairy, sugar, salt, colours, preservatives and flavourings. And again, that's a 2 a day dose. I only take 1 a day in combination with this. And I don't take them every day, I take them as and when I remember. I did remember to take them today, so that's why I'm including them in the video. And I'll show you how that breaks down in Cronometer. I've put today's food in Cronometer. I think it's really interesting because you have actually seen what I've eaten throughout the day. I think it's really interesting then to see how that actually breaks down nutritionally. So I've popped everything in there that I've eaten today, and it's come out at 1700 calories, which is a little bit low for me, but I haven't had any snacks at all today, so that's understandable. The protein has actually come in at 78.8 grams, which I'm really impressed with that. I had no idea that I'd had such a protein rich day. Carbs 180 grams and fat 60 grams. But this is what I really wanted to show you, is the vitamins and minerals. So a combination of everything that I've eaten today plus the 2 supplements that I showed you earlier. I've had more than enough of every vitamin. Some of these are up to like 500, 400%. Minerals, we've got most of the essential minerals in. These ones here in yellow, the phosphorus is at 96%, so we're pretty bang on with that. The potassium is 65%, the selenium is 83%, and the one that's fairly low down here at 36% is the sodium, so I'm not too concerned about that. I know for a fact that that's not accurate because the Lincolnshire sausage mix that we had, that we made the kebabs out of for tea, I know definitely has more sodium in it than that, so I'm not too worried about that. Carbohydrates, we've had plenty of fibre. (93% of fat). That's 93% of the day's intake, not 93% fat. And then the omega-3s, we're on to 94% with the omega-3s, and the omega-6s are coming in a little bit low at 49%, but that's something I could easily have rectified by just sprinkling some sesame seeds on my lunch or my evening meal. And then the protein, as I said, we're in at 78.8 grams, which is fantastic. That's not an everyday occurrence, so obviously that will balance out over the week. And again, the one that's particularly low here is lysine, which, as we all know, is only really available in small amounts in specific foods, specific plant foods. So it's coming in at 49%, and again, that could have been easily remedied just by sprinkling some pumpkin seeds on my evening meal. So not too worried about that, but as you can see, we've got lots of green going on here, which does show that it is possible to eat a balanced, healthy, nutritionally adequate diet, vegan, pretty much low FODMAP, other than the evening meal. You can see how over a week of eating that would all balance out really nicely. So I hope that's been useful to you. As I say, it's not something I'm religious about, it's not something I'm fanatical about, but I just thought, seeing as you've seen everything that I've eaten today, that might be of interest to you. So I really hope you enjoyed this video. Please let me know if you're interested in seeing any more of these type of what I eat in a day, whether you think it's useful to you or not. If you're in your personalised phase, give me a thumbs up below. Let me know exactly how many people I'm talking to. If you'd rather I did more of the recipes that are suitable for the elimination phase, please let me know. I just sometimes think that it's a bit interesting to see how the diet progresses, and also from my point of view it's much more authentic for me to show you exactly how I do eat day to day, that just to let you know that I'm not stuck in an elimination phase or a very highly restrictive diet anymore. And I do think that's important to show. The low FODMAP diet is not all about the elimination phase. It's not all about the restriction, and it's not all about deprivation and cutting everything out of your diet. So I do think it's really important to show that as a natural progression through the low FODMAP diet. Please let me know in the comments below what you thought of this style of video. I always appreciate a thumbs up and a comment. And as always, thanks so much for watching, and I'll speak to you soon.